For part C, we're in charge of fixing the bug with a new implementation of the bubble down method, because in part B, we said that the bug is occurring on lines 44 to 46, which is inside the bubble down method. So here are two potential examples of what you could do. One is keeping this first condition in the while loop. So we're checking whether the left child is even within range. And if it is, then we save it into the swap index method, which is now going to determine which index is going to be swapped with the parent if it needs to be swapped. And then if the right child is also within range, then we need to update the swap index accordingly. Okay, so we need to first get the value of the left child and the value of the right child. And if the value of the right child is smaller than the value of the left child, then we need to update the swap index to be now the right child. Okay, because remember, we always want to swap it with the smaller of the two if both the children are smaller than their parent. And now, once we have updated this swap index as either the left or the right child, we need to now make sure that this swap is even necessary. So we get the parent and we get the swap index value and make sure that the parent is greater, in which case we actually do need to swap and then update the index to go down to the next level. That's example one. For example two, it's the same concept except implemented a little bit differently. So first we need to check whether the parent or the parent and the left child are both within range. Okay, so if either the parent is not within range or the left child is not within range, then we just return. We don't do anything. And then otherwise, we need to get the parent value. We also need to get the left child value, okay? And then we break it down into two cases. So in the case where it only has a left child, then all we really need to do is compare the parent value with the left child, right? As long as the parent is greater than the left, then we need to do the swap and then keep on bubbling down. If it has two children, then that's where we need to incorporate the smaller of the two children check. So we now get the right child's value and we first compare left and right. So if if left is less than the right, in other words, our swap child is going to be the left child, then we still need to make sure that we actually do need to swap by making sure that cur is greater than left, and in which case we need to swap it with the left child. Otherwise, if the right is the smaller of the two children, then we need to make sure that cur is greater than right before we actually swap and then keep on bubbling down. So it might seem a little bit repetitive. I'm sure you can simplify it further, but this just kind of shows you very nakedly what the two cases are, right? In this example, and also here, where it's a little bit simpler, a little shorter, but again, it's the same concept of having to check both children. And then if both children are smaller than the parent, you need to pick the smaller of the two children to swap with the parent.